speaker today. Before she comes on, let me just say a few things about her. She started coaching about 4 years ago, but her story is very similar to many new coaches who doubt their effectiveness in this business. When your actions are not aligned with your results, that's when you question your choices. This is called something that I read in a book called Consonance, one of my favorite books, Limitless by Laura Gassner Otting. Consonance is when the work that you're doing does not align with your results or your values. I want you to listen to this call today. I want you to tag your coaches because this is a coach. I said she started 4 years ago. She's a 2-time elite coach. She's currently a 10-star diamond. Let's welcome from North Liberty, Iowa, Brook Andersen. Hey there.
Hi.
Hi, it's good to see you. All right, I'm going to step out of the way because you've got a story to tell. 4 years ago, you came to Beachbody. Why don't you let the audience know a little bit about who you are?
Awesome. Well, first off, I just have to say what an honor it is to speak on this call. Over the last 4 years, I have built my business on the tips and advice and stories that coaches have shared every single week. So just thank you for this call. It's truly an honor to be here, and I'm also really kind of emotional to be here today. So my name is Brook Andersen. I live in the heart of the Midwest, or in the United States, actually. We're in Iowa, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart. His name is Josh, and we've been together for 9 years, and we have 3 beautiful children, all under the age of 5, who are all 18 months apart, which is crazy town, and we love it. But my journey with coaching starts 5 years ago. I was an elementary teacher, and I loved being an elementary teacher. I taught 1st grade, I was 5th grade, 6th grade, and I loved helping children and working with them. And right around that time, I became pregnant with my first, and all of a sudden I could feel that shift deep down inside saying, oh man, I'm gonna wanna be home with this baby. My health at the time was a mess. I really, for the past decade of my life, through all of college and early years of marriage, 3 to 4 years of marriage before kids, I was on what I call the yo-yo dieting roller coaster, where every 3 or 4 months, I would be on top of my game, which is usually something pretty extreme with like running excessively, eating little to no carbs, trying out the new thing. Something, stressful would happen in my life, and I would just, not work out, binge eat, gain 10 plus pounds. And as a 5'2" short girl, that 10 pounds is very obvious. So really almost a decade of that just back and forth. And I knew that I'm entering into motherhood now. Life is not going to get any less stressful that I knew of. And I knew I needed to find something for me. During my pregnancy, I started following this girl on social media, and she just brought such a joy and light to health and fitness that I had never seen before. She was also pregnant and had 2 little girls, and I just watched her as she bounced all over her living room, working out, had the biggest smile on her face, shared the real stuff, shared the hard stuff, but always put a positive spin on things. And I was just like, this is awesome. But then she started talking about this business that she was doing with this health and fitness thing, and that she earned an income and, was able to leave her fitness instructing job. And my jaw fell to the floor. And I was like, okay, this is not real. This is like, I've never heard of this. And I didn't believe it, but I just kept watching her, and I just kept watching to see, is she going to mess up? Is she going to stop? Like, what's going to happen next? Never liked anything. And I watched her for a year. At 6 weeks postpartum, we both had our babies kind of around the same time, and she had a plan. She knew exactly what she was going to do, while I was, just kind of drowning in, well, what am I going to do now? Start cutting all carbs. I'm breastfeeding. I'm hungry all the time and exhausted. I had nothing solid like I watched her have. So at that time, we decided that I wouldn't go back to teaching, but that I would sub and I would tutor at a studio at night. And I thought that would be awesome because it would still provide an income for our family and provide flexibility for myself if I did need to be home with my daughter some days. Well, that did not go well. I found myself constantly watching the clock whenever I was with students. And I, right then and there, after those kind of like first weeks and months, it's like, this is not how work should be. I never felt that way before. And I knew that's because my heart was not in teaching anymore. It was at home with my baby. And at night when I would go to tutor, there's something called the witching hour that we learned with babies. And she was never great at taking bottles to begin with, but at night she would just scream and not take anything from my husband. So my husband would have to drive her to the studio I was tutoring at. I would have, texting me the whole time, like, she's screaming, you have to come out. We're first time parents, so everything is just, dramatic. And I would have to, between my breaks of kids or, whenever I could, I would dart outside to my screaming baby in the car and my husband who's stressed. And as a mom, there is no worse feeling than knowing that your child needs you and not being able to be there. And I know, like, taking bottles, now we have 3 kids now, so like we understand that's not a big deal anymore. She learned how to take her bottles, but it was the feeling that I couldn't be there for my child when she needed me. And I knew as we had more kids, that feeling would only get worse. I wanted to come home, but I knew I needed the financial stability to be home, to continue the life we wanted. It was doable to go down to 1 income, but we would have to sacrifice our fun travels that we love. We're big Dave Ramsey people, so we would have to, to purchase anything, we'd have to save forever, it felt like. We wouldn't be able to, save for our kids' college and save for retirement like we wanted to, all because of my decision to stay home. And I didn't want that looming over my head. So I told my husband, I said, hey, there's this girl I've been following, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to bring an income home while taking care of our babies. So after lots of prayer, we jumped in.
All right. Well, there is a lot to unpack there. Let me just say that I have 3 things here. First, you're a teacher. You know how much I love teachers and how I think that teachers make amazing coaches. And there's so many people on Facebook right now that's saying, I can't believe you're teaching. You have 3 kids under 5 years old. You're a 10-star diamond right now. So we're going to figure out how you did all of that. And then you're a short girl. And you and I didn't talk about this, but I'm shorter than you. So yeah, I know you guys think I'm like bigger than life, but nope. Short girl syndrome, which is not a syndrome at all. Okay. The reason why I'm so excited for you to be on this call is because you came to Beachbody with some expectations to earn money. You had a lot to do, a lot to take care of with the 3 kids. So can you talk about your first year as a coach? Was it what you expected?
Not at all. I came in to build a business, to earn an income. I knew that would take work. I wasn't blind to that side of things, and I knew it wouldn't happen overnight. But that first year was tough. I was all in, but I really picked and chose the activities that I did. I was stubborn, and I looked at everything and on that activity tracker, and I said, well, I know what I need to do. And coaching was always kind of this kind of secret thing I did online, which I hate saying, but I know I was never proud to be a coach. I didn't go to all my friends and family and talk about it and own it, and it showed. But I did do some things consistently that first year. I started posting on social media. I would post every day. I learned, my coach, Megan Ewaldson, told me that, hey, like, social media is your storefront. You have to share and let people know you're open. I got over that fear pretty quickly, and I could put up a picture and put up a post, hit, submit, and I thought that would get my business rolling. I also was running groups every few months. They would great, and then if they would die out, I would just stop because clearly that group didn't work. I was doing something wrong. Then in a couple more months, I would try again, would stop. That got too hard. It didn't work. I was also being a product of that product the first year. By that time, I had my second. So I had an 18-month-old and a newborn, and I was in the best shape of my life. I had finally learned to take care of myself, and I was feeling amazing. And I had amazing postpartum transformation, and I was sharing that every day. I was sharing my pictures. I was sharing my workouts. I was sharing my health, but I wasn't doing some other crucial parts to this business that really linked the gap to being a product of the product and sharing on social media and running groups, kind of not really consistently. So when 2018 rolled around, that was kind of the end of my first full year of coaching. I looked where I was, like we all do kind of at this year, and reflect back. And it was a hard pill to swallow. I was at the end of my first year of coaching, and I was sitting there as an emerald coach with 3 to 4 inactive discount coaches. No one had any interest in working the business. And so of course there was no stable income coming in. And I was kind of embarrassed by it. My husband wasn't taking this seriously because of course there's no income, but I wasn't taking it seriously. My family wasn't taking it seriously. My friends weren't taking it seriously because I didn't own who I was as a coach. So I knew I needed to make some changes and some tweaks. I was that coach who was 1 foot in and 1 foot out, which is an exhausting place to be. Just like my health journey, when I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out, it was like that roller coaster. Because when you're 1 foot in, you have these expectations of a coach and hitting Success Club and moving up in rank and earning an income. But when you're 1 foot out, you are also not doing the activities enough to meet any of those expectations. Or maybe sometimes you do, which just kind of makes you feel like a failure, even though you're not, but you're not hitting those expectations. So I knew I really needed to go 2 feet in, 2 feet out. I did not want to leave coaching. I loved it. I decided just to jump 2 feet in. I decided I didn't have to change everything what I was doing, but I knew I needed to make some tweaks and some changes moving forward.
I think that what you said about being all in is so true. People say they're all in, but they're not really all in. They might be doing some things all in, but the other things not. It's the same thing with a fitness program. You could be all in with a fitness program, but you're not doing the nutrition, so you're not really all in. And it is exhausting because you're trying so hard, and nothing is moving forward. Okay. You said that you made sort of a mental switch in your mind. What did you start doing differently?
So I just asked myself some questions to start the year. I asked myself, why did I get into this? How did I get into this? What attracted me to coaching? And am I showing any of that? So why I got in was to build a business, earn an income. How did I get in? I actually, after watching my coach, Megan, for a year, I got into this through a coach sneak peek. It was when she plugged me into it and I got to see her go live and I got to hear her heart and the passion that she had for this business. And I was like, yes, I can do that. This works for her. This is real. And I knew like I could do it after a coach sneak peek. What attracted me to this was her consistency and the light she shone and her talking about the business side. Am I showing any of that? Not at all. I had never once hosted a coach sneak peek. Maybe one time I had posted anything about coaching. It was strictly all about, my kids and my fitness. So I was like, whoa, wow, a light bulb moment came up. I'm like, Brooke, no wonder like the ball isn't getting moved forward. So I really did 4 things to start off 2018. The first thing I did was I committed to running monthly coach sneak peeks. And that terrified me because one, I didn't know how to explain doing this to anybody, but that was a huge wake-up call. If I couldn't even be comfortable explaining what a coach is, what a coach does, newsflash, what a coach does, I wasn't even doing half of those activities. That just really showed me that like I had a lot of room to grow and make changes. But I also committed, every single month because I knew if I was like, I'm just going to try it out this month. If it doesn't work, it's not for me. Like that's the mentality like I couldn't take. I knew that every single month I had to show the team that I wanted that I was there, that I was going to share my heart. And when they were ready, I was going to be the one that I could show them this could work for them. So committed to monthly coach sneak peeks. 2, I looked at that Success Club activity tracker and where was I missing? Where were the holes? And honestly, I didn't need to look at it because I knew I was not inviting and connecting at all. Like barely, I only invited or connected anyone who commented or liked my posts. I thought that was so icky, just felt uncomfortable, but I knew it was the gap between like me sharing my story to actually getting the ball rolling. I wasn't having those personal conversations and building relationships. I just kind of thought social media would take care of that. So now during 2018 is when I had my 3rd child. So now I'm sitting here with like a 2.5-year-old, an 18-month-old and a newborn, and I've committed to this business and sitting down to work, looking at where it says invite 3 to 5 people was super overwhelming for me. I knew I just had to figure out a way that I would just do it and move on because I just didn't have a lot of time. I was in the crazy trenches of motherhood. So on Sunday nights, I would sit down and I would make, if I'm working this business about 5 days a week, that's over the entire course of a week, that's about 30 people I should be inviting and 30 people I should be connecting with. So I would write out a list of 25 to 30 people to invite that week and 25 to 30 people to connect with. And when I would sit down on Monday, that's where I would go. I wouldn't go write a post. I wouldn't go dive into my challenge group or talk to my coaches, because those are places that were really comfortable. I went to the places that were really uncomfortable and learned how to get really good at those things. And then after that, I also started implementing personal development. Another thing that I rolled my eyes at and just kind of looked at like, well, I don't need that. I started implementing personal development and got really, really grounded on where my worth was found. My personal worth is found in Jesus Christ and my relationship with him. So I knew that if that was always the center, and if I could keep moving forward with knowing my heart is in the right place, that my intentions are pure and they're good, I could send any invite. I could post anything, that's real, that's me, that's sharing my truth and not feel icky and not feel salesy. But that takes personal development. It takes, diving into, for me, it was devotions, but also books on leadership and, getting over fears and building my confidence up. Personal development, I think, is so often overlooked because it's not an income producing activity. It's an activity that gets you in the right mindset to produce income. And then the fourth thing I did is I got super serious and I made it my mission to build the best community that Beachbody had ever seen. I knew I was all in with this. So I knew that I wanted to have the best team to work with. And I knew that would require servant leadership. So I took that mindset of that I am just going to help everyone without expecting nothing in return and give to them and hope that they're going to meet me halfway or some way, or heck, all the way, and go from there.
Okay, that was impressive. And what I took away from the first thing that you said was about sneak peeks was that you didn't know how to even talk about coaching. So why would you even do sneak peeks? But that was a wake-up call for you, because if you don't know about it, then you should figure that one out. So that was a really key piece for you. Plus, using the Success Club activity tracker. Again, it's saying you're all in, checking off boxes, but what is not clicking for you? So I think that new coaches may overcomplicate things sometimes, and they just think there's too much to do when actually there's few things to do. Just do them thoroughly. Okay. Excellent description there. So social media, you and I talked a little bit about what changed in the course of 4 years of being a coach. How has your presence in social media changed?
Oh, drastically. When your mindset shifts and you make those changes of being really grounded in who you are and your intentions, your language just starts to shift, and what you share starts to shift. I've had this huge limiting belief around social media that because I have such a small following, and still do to this day, that things are just gonna come harder for me. I'm not going to be able to hit Success Club numbers like I see other coaches do. I'm not going to be able to recruit to my team like I see the successful coaches do. It's just going to be harder for me because my following is small. And here's the mindset shift that I took with that. God has an audience for me. They're right in front of me. And I have an opportunity every day to shine my light into them. And yes, I'm not saying that like I should just, if he wanted me to have 10,000 more followers or 20,000 more followers, that would happen. And I am clearly not ready for that. And that's okay. Also, it's an area where I need to grow. I'm not saying that God puts everyone in my path that I want, but I also need to make sure I'm doing the activities to grow my following. And it's an area I do need to grow, but I've always had that limiting belief. So that made the mindset shift of, I just want to impact my audience no matter what. That if someone follows me and comes across my post or my story for a day, a week, a month, did they leave a better person because they interacted with me? Did they smile when they saw a post that I did or something that I shared? Are they, maybe using a trick in the kitchen or a tip with their kids because of something I shared that I just left them better? And taking on that mindset shift with also now connecting and inviting totally got the ball rolling with things. And then also, since I was consistently hosting coach sneak peeks, I knew I had to talk about coaching, more than just like right before my coach sneak peek, like, hey, I'm a coach, come to my coach sneak peek. No, I had to sprinkle in coaching all month long. And I wanted my followers, my customers, and my current coaches to see three things. I wanted them to see a coach that was, one, working. I wanted them to see how I worked this, like when did I work this, early in the morning, to your nap time, right after the kids go to bed. And I wanted them to see a coach that was really proud to do what I do, to show up every day and change lives, because I wanted them to be really proud of what they did.
Awesome. So, how critical was it your first year as a coach to build a foundation for where you are now?
That's a great question. That it's so easy, and for so long, I did look back on that first year as a waste. As man, like, what if I would have just started hosting coach sneak peeks and consistently running groups and sharing? That would have been like, I don't know, but at the same time, coaching like that first year was critical because it taught me some huge lessons. It taught me grit and endurance, that like to just show up and still be there despite all of the no's and not seeing the success I wanted. A year later, I was still there and I was still trying, and that says so much. It taught me finally how to take care of myself. Like I shared, I had just spent the last 10 years of my life like on this yo-yo train, and now here I was with 3 children, and I was in the best shape of my life, and I had so much energy and so much confidence. So like that was a huge win in itself. And the third thing, it planted those seeds with so many people that were watching what I was doing. I wasn't all the way in with the activities, but I was trying my best and I was moving forward. And, I was there, and I was there at the end of the year. And I think that's what matters the most.
So I'm going to ask you this last question about time as a coach, because your first year, you weren't exactly making the money that you thought that you would be making, but you said that it wasn't a waste. So would you say that your business took off over time, or did your business take off over the activities that you started doing?
I love that question. I would say both because I needed time to grow into the person and the leader that I was going to be for this business. I needed time to get grounded in my worth and in my why. But also, if I wouldn't have started implementing those right activities, I would have only made it so far. Yes, by posting on social media and kind of running groups and being a product of the product, I probably would have hit diamond eventually. I might have hit 1-star diamond eventually, but as a leader, you always need to be tweaking and looking at what activities do you need to add in, or what things do you need to tweak to make better or change or anything like that. And I also think when you do start adding in new activities, you have to give them time to work. Even when I made all those mindset shifts at the beginning of 2018, when I was an Emerald coach, it still took us 6 months to get to be a diamond team. And then from there, it took us another 6 months to be a 1-star. But once I had the girls to do this with, once I had my belief in place and the right activities going, that's when, and in 2019, in a year, we went from diamond to 5-star elite. And that's when this year we went from 5-star to 10-star. So it's hands down for myself a mixture of both.
I just love that you're able to talk about this now 4 years later, because I said it earlier, there's times when people want to quit when they really can just stick around, change their activities, and shift the mindset. So you've had you have a really great story, and I'm excited for everybody that's watching right now. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how it's been for you these last 4 years? How fulfilling has the role of coach been for you?
Oh man, yes. Well, I got into this 4 years ago to to replace my teaching income. And 2.5 years into coaching, I was able to do that. Insert Beachbody disclaimer. Coaches' earnings are dependent on their diligence, efforts, and skills. But also my days with my children, Sandy, even though they're not that different than 4 years ago, they feel completely different because I don't have that ticking clock over my head of, well, are you gonna have to go back to work again? Are you gonna have to go do this again? Are you gonna have to leave them and go raise other people's children while someone else raises your children? I don't have that fear anymore, which just makes you live your day so differently. And it makes me appreciate my days with my children so much more. And now we're currently, looking for our forever home. If that's for myself, all Joanna gained all in the inside, but also for my husband, land to raise our children on, and for him to hunt, which we're looking at things that just blow my mind. And our budget keeps having to raise not because of coaching, but our budget keeps raising. And because of coaching, we're able to keep raising, which just it just means everything to me. But I think the biggest thing is that I got into this, yes, to earn an income, and yes, to be with my babies. And it's so amazing, but it's the team of women that I get to do this with. That is something I laughed at the community part. I laughed at the tribe, and now I could not imagine my life without them. 2020 was hard for all of us. And I remember, of course there's some good things that happened, but I remember, when the pandemic was happening, and I looked at one of my coaches, my friend Dana, and I said, Dana, oh my goodness, are we going to fall apart this year? What's going to happen? And she's like, no, we're not, Brooke. We're going to be stronger than ever because of this year. I was like, you're so right. And then for my personal life, I've had a really hard year. And after losing 2 babies, for my faith and my family and this team just surrounding me like they have, and just getting the chance to keep leaning into really meaningful work has been huge. With just the second loss, we were in the middle of 10-star qualifications, and my team totally carried us through. I'll end with this, and I'll try and stop crying. But Kate Schultes spoke on a team call that I was on at the beginning of 2020. And she said something that I won't forget. She said, build a shelter, I'll probably butcher it, build shelter when the sun is shining. And I was like, yeah, I get that. I've raised 3 kids while working this business, and how it always has been rainbow and sunshines. But now I really get it, because there's going to be times and moments in life when you just can't. And my shelter has been my team this year. They've carried me through some really dark and hard times. And I'm so grateful that I get to show up. I get to play with my babies all day long. I lay their heads down on their pillow during nap time. And then I get to dive into just the best work with some of the best ladies. And that's all I could ever ask for.
All right. You had me sad and crying over here too, and writing new affirmations. Let me just say that you represent the every coach. Okay, you represent somebody who was working as a teacher, who not getting paid a lot, growing a family, believing in Jesus. I mean, you really represent what everybody is going through, but when pushed in the corner, wants to make something great of your life, and is willing to do the work, the internal work, the reading, the learning, the educating, to make that happen. And I just so respect you, and I love all of your accomplishments. And I want to just say congratulations on your success, because 10-star coach, 10-star diamond coach, with what you've gone through is huge. So congratulations. Thank you so much, Brooke, for sharing your story. And I took the affirmation. I had an affirmation, first of all, about planting seeds, because I love that that symbolism that your first year as a coach, you're learning about yourself. Okay. So many of you think that, why aren't I making any money today? I just started yesterday. It's because it takes time to learn the business, to learn about building relationships, to learn about yourself. But Building shelter, oh, when the sun is still shining, makes a lot of sense to me. Because that is the work that you're doing. You're planting, you're rooting, you're creating that foundation so that years from now, you can look back, you will have a similar story where you put in the work, you put in the grit, you built those relationships, and you experienced what it's like to help people who need your help. So, with that, I want to say have a very, very wonderful holiday this week with your families. And I will see you here next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.